Ferrari has just unveiled its challenger for the 2023 season, and it looks absolutely astonishing. Even though the Maranello team broke up two major partnerships with VELAS and SnapDragon, they are in for a huge season, and recent reports say that Red Bull will have very tough competition ahead. Now that the car has been revealed to the world, let's see what we can expect from the prancing horse in 2023. What are some of the biggest challenges ahead of Ferrari, and what can we expect from the internal battle between Leclerc and Sainz? This video has all the answers, so don't go anywhere. Ferrari entered the previous season as the favorites to win it all, until it turned around to bite them in the back. They are the team that struggled the most with the strategies, and on top of that, races like Baku, Imola, and Austria ended up miserably for them, with either one or both cars retiring due to reliability issues or drivers' mistakes. After the third race, it was clear that Leclerc lacked the ability to be a champion, and Sainz simply lacked the confidence required to challenge Leclerc, let alone Verstappen, for the championship. But in the second half of the season, we've seen improvements at Ferrari, and it seems like the biggest steps have been taken in the off-season. Ferrari decided that enough is enough with Binotto, and Leclerc's conflict with Binotto after Silverstone has turned out to be the end of Binotto's relationship with the Maranello team. With Vasseur coming to the team, a lot of people expected to have Leclerc as the designated #1 driver for Ferrari, but that is very unlikely to be the case. We'll get to that later in this video, as we want to talk about how fast the car is going to be in the upcoming season. Ferrari is one of the teams that understood the technical regulations better than anybody else not named Red Bull, and they were very fast, even when the car was porpoising like crazy. Everyone has dubbed them the porpoising geniuses because we've seen Mercedes struggle to keep up with the rest of the pack with the same amount of porpoising. One thing that led to this outcome is the side pod design, which will be kept for the next season and will keep the carved profile on the upper part with large grills for heat dissipation. On top of that, the side pods will see a profound narrowing towards the rear, with the Coke bottle area in front of the rear wheels being placed slightly further forward compared to the F175. In practice, the bodywork that was put on the F175, which extended behind the engine cover and narrowed down into a semicircular section, is going to be replaced by horizontal vents that will extend all the way over the rear suspension members. You know what they say, if you can't beat them, join them, as this design has been borrowed partly from the fiercest car in 2022, the RB18. But the overall body of the car will have a different volume compared to the F175, and the main reason why this will be implemented is the reduced drag in 2023. A lower profile of the sides is definitely a thing for the SF-23 for the upcoming season, and a step between their vertical section and the floor side is definitely noted on the new version of their car. One couldn't help but note that all of this is just a natural evolution of the F175, a car that had one major issue. It wasn't able to completely disrupt the internal packaging of the cooling system, which would coincide with the different placement of the deformable structures on the sides of the cockpit. And just like every other team out there, Ferrari is going to implement changes in the lower section on the sides of the cockpit, with the fuel tank area being profoundly different from its predecessor. This will be done so that the car has a precise correspondence only in the engine pickup points, which will also see a total evolution in the location of internal mechanics that will be involved in the gearbox makeover. The majority of these changes occurred naturally as a result of the new regulations, which required car manufacturers to change some things in order to adjust the Venturi channels and empower them for the upcoming season. But if there is one thing that Ferrari struggled the most with, it's the reliability of the engine. This is something that Binotto has worked on, and for which Vasseur has expressed his heartfelt gratitude. But it appears that the former Ferrari CEO went so far as to boost the engine's base horsepower by 30%. While Vasseur denied these claims, labeling them as jokes and totally unfounded ones, the fact that Steiner, the boss of Haas, also spoke in the same line as Binotto just goes to show that where there's smoke, there's fire. Sure, Vasseur wouldn't want to give up his cards too early in the season and scare everyone away, as he'll likely let the actions speak louder than the words. Even if the reported number is much lower than 30 horsepower, the fact that there is an engine freeze in place and a team manages to extract more power out of its car just goes to show that the minds of F1 engineers are working on different frequencies. Just ask Adrian Newey if you don't believe us. The floors have been made thicker, but somehow Ferrari and Red Bull managed to produce a lighter floor than its predecessor, even though it has more material in it, which is supposed to increase its thickness. The SF-23 has already been tested out in the simulator, and the results that came out of there are definitely astonishing. According to a report from Italy, Ferrari's home country, the car is 1 second faster than the previous version. And in light of Horner's claim that the RB19 will be half to 1 second slower than the RB18, these are some serious claims to make. The hope for 2023 is that Ferrari can finally keep up the good work that always seems promising in the first couple of races, but then somehow ends up in ashes because responsibility is never assigned to one person, and everyone points fingers at someone. With the arrival of Vasseur, this is going to be the biggest change that the team is going to endure. And to show that he means business, Vasseur has changed the approach to the designated number 1 and number 2 drivers, so that the team can finally strive for a championship. While we assumed that Leclerc would be Ferrari's designated number 1 driver, which was natural given that Leclerc was the primary reason Binotto was replaced, and both of them had previously collaborated in Alfa Romeo, we appear to have forgotten that Sainz and Vasseur have also previously collaborated. Back in 2017, these two shared the Boss F1 driver link, with Vasseur overjoyed to finally have Sainz in his rows. He even went so far as to say that the only way to work with Sainz is to join the team he is currently in, implying that Leclerc was not the sole reason Vasseur joined Ferrari. And this isn't all. Vasseur stated that there will be no designated number 1 and number 2 drivers on the team, with both drivers having an equal chance to compete for the 2023 title. In 2021, Sainz was able to outperform Leclerc, even though he was in his first season with Ferrari. While the Monegasque was better in 2022, it just goes to show that many things can change. And one of those things is definitely Leclerc not being part of Ferrari anymore after 2024. Vasseur added that Leclerc's contract isn't currently the priority of the team when it comes to it being extended, which just goes to show that there are going to be some massive shakeups at Ferrari in the following period. Now that they have a great car, one that's supposedly without any reliability issues and 1 second faster compared to 2022, it's up to the drivers to show who has what it takes to beat each other and to challenge Verstappen for the championship. But yet again, high challenges and pressured situations can lead to a lot of mistakes, something that Sainz felt at the beginning of 2022 when Leclerc clearly put himself out there as the leader of the team. This is something that Ferrari needs to pay a lot of attention to, but if there is one team out there that has what it takes to challenge Red Bull, that is definitely Ferrari. This has been acknowledged by Christian Horner as well, with him adding that Ferrari has found big gains over the winter, mostly thanks to the fact that they've fixed the reliability issues of the SF-23. With that being said, it's going to be a very interesting season ahead of us, and Ferrari has made it even more interesting. With the new season starting in just a few weeks, everyone will start from zero, and Ferrari will have a new, fresh chance of trying to prove themselves as the new number 1 team since 2008. Which has already been 15 years ago, and with their new team principal, things could turn out very differently compared to last year. So, what do you think? Will Ferrari come back stronger this year? Or will they still struggle with finding out the right strategy? Let us know in the comments below.